Cam Porter, if you let him, dude, he'll bounce it outside on you. I mean, you'll see him. He's 5'9", 210, 215 pounds.
They play off like 5-10 yards off as the corners. And
no break.
That's perfect. Yeah. That's perfect for Will Rogers. Like that's the type of stuff where he eats.
All right, dog fans, before we hop into the show, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out, and we appreciate the support. Thanks to our sponsor, Simply Seattle, we'll be picking out one lucky new subscriber to win free Washington Huskies t-shirt and hat. To enter, just subscribe, drop a comment below letting us know that you've done it. You can be out there flexing that new Husky drip, that new Husky swag in no time. Plus, don't forget to check out Simply Seattle's QR code at the bottom of the screen, which will take you directly to their website for all your Washington Husky apparel needs. Good luck. Go Dogs. Thank you for everything.
We got 2-1 teams, almost very similar. Like Northwestern's only loss was to Duke, who's a 3-0 team right now in the ACC. They're coming into Seattle to play us, and they might be coming into a buzzsaw because, like Izzo was saying before, we're pissed. We are pissed. So as you're looking at this Northwestern team, let's look at their offense first. What do we have to keep our eye on as far as their big players and what we're going to have to do to defend them?
I mean, when I look at this team, I mean, you know, their coach, David Braun, he was actually the Big Ten Coach of the Year last year. I thought, which was pretty surprising when I started.
8-5,
yeah. When I started to dive into that, they have a new offensive coordinator who I think he likes to pass the ball, but I think he likes to get it going with the run that kind of ends up going in, allowing them to pass. And it's funny, when we were talking about this game a couple weeks back, I told Izzo, man, when I watched them the first couple games versus Miami of Ohio and Duke, I said, here's my analysis. Just put it in the pod for me. Stop Cam Porter, and I think we're going to be okay. And it was like, dude, his stats aren't gaudy, but I'm not sure that it's about his ability as maybe I'm not sure his offensive line is maybe as elite as, you know, they would like. I think they're a very experienced offensive line. I mean, I think their youngest O-lineman is only a redshirt junior. So
they're averaging 4.7 yards per carry as a team.
Yeah, no, and I mean, you see that, you know, I mean, they have a little bit of a quarterback controversy. They had Mike Wright. He started the first 2 games. He's a transfer, and now Jack Lausch is their starting quarterback now. He's an interesting quarterback. I mean, he can throw the ball a little bit. He can get up and go. I mean, he beat Eastern Illinois with his legs. I think he had like 62 rushing yards against them. But the big thing I see with Porter is, you know, he's kind of their workhorse. He averages 3.93 yards after contact. So what I really need to see from the UW defense against this offense is the big boys need to show up. You need Valdez, Bandez, and Parker, man. They need to show up and show out.
I was going to ask you, dude. So despite, you know, he had 63 yards rushing last week, this isn't a John Mateer, right? This isn't that level of athlete, right?
They do have organized plays for him that are set for runs, and he does run with some power, but he's not going to run away from you like Mateer. When I was watching the Eastern Illinois game, I watched him put his shoulder down and run over people, and they were designed plays to him. But he also threw for 227 and 2 touchdowns as well. So he does have an arm.
I mean, you can get them up front. You know, they've only given up 1 sack, but they want to get the ball out quick, play a lot of stuff off of play action. I mean, it'll be a good test for our defense. It's Big Ten football. You know, it's not. This isn't probably the high flying offenses we've seen for years with a lot of the Pac-12 teams that like to go vertical. But dude, this is smash mouth football, man. And Cam Porter, if you let him, dude, he'll bounce it outside on you. I mean, you'll see him. He's 5'9", 210, 215 pounds, thick legs. I mean, he's got a little Jonah Coleman in him. He doesn't have the burst of Coleman, but if you let him get going, I mean, dude, they'll feed him the rock, and he'll try to get it going all night.
The player to me that is the most threatening for us is AJ Henning, transfer from Michigan last year to Northwestern, top 15 wide receiver in the country coming out of high school, grad transfer. He's been playing for quite a while. The way I would describe him is he's like a kind of a thicker Giles, maybe a little bit taller. He's 5'10", about 190, 195. He's got wheels. He's got hands. Great routes. I think that AJ Henning poses enough of a enough of a threat to, you can't just, hey, shut down this, in my opinion, shut down this one player and you're good. Because I really, where our corners are really effective is getting physical. And AJ Henning is kind of a blend. He's really good, man. Like he's not so little that you can just knock him off his block and then that's it. He's going to get open. Yep. And you're going to hear his name get called in this game quite a bit. And so to me, if I was going to key in on, let's make sure we can shut down this one guy, it's AJ Henning, and that's what Steve Belichick has been known for. And I'm you know, I think they can play their game. If this guy is not a dual threat, if they're going to scheme some stuff for him, that's great. If he's not a guy that's going to bounce out and break a rush for 45 yards, I'm saying don't hold Durfee because you don't think he can contain one side type of thing. Yeah. Play his ass the whole game.
Yeah,
I and Ward play them.
Yeah, I think
Henning.
I think that if because they do like a read option kind of offense. They're them being disciplined is going to be important, which I think we're going to talk about all year. But you're right. I think that happens. They're not going to be able to get to the pass because, like you said, Henning is definitely by far and away their number one. He's got an 8 reception lead on the next closest guy. But they are very balanced. Literally, it's like 104 runs to 97 passes, and right. They use one to set up the other. So if they do play that, I think we can count on our DBs to be able to, at least if they're going to have to shut down one guy, be able to shut down that one guy. But I think I think kind of what Noah was saying, where it starts up front is where it's going to matter because they're going to pass off of the run, not the opposite way. Sure. At least not through 3 games.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I'm very curious to see how the defensive line responds and the linebackers, but they've played pretty well all year.
Basically what I'm saying is I think we match up pretty well with them defensively outside of if Henning gets open in space.
You're right, because if that does happen, they will be able to identify and will be in trouble because he can throw the ball. Like I watched, he made some big throws. It was against Eastern Illinois, and that's kind of like, it's what's hard about all the teams that have played right now. We haven't really seen anybody play against Big Ten competition yet. So we don't know how Lausch plays against somebody like us, because even Duke, when they played against him, they still haven't played anybody but Northwestern. Northwestern is the biggest team that they've played so far. So we don't know how good they were. And when I watched that game, their quarterback for Duke made a ton of mistakes that Northwestern was able to take advantage of on the defensive side. So I think it's very plausible that they come into Husky Stadium and they're not ready for what they see. Is there anything else you guys want to hit on with the offense?
Yeah. What were you about to say?
Oh, I was actually going to say really quick. So 2 things. I want to talk Henning real quick. So I think Henning, you'll probably see him with like 7 or 8 catches in this game, maybe 10. I mean, he's one of those guys, they want to get the ball in his hands and see if he can create. I'm not sure Lausch is going to like pierce you over the top for like 30, 35, yard hitters, but they want to get the ball in Henning's hands. So I definitely see that. But here's one thing I just noticed. So this is their first away game. Okay. Do you know what? So the biggest game of the year they played was versus Duke, and they played that game at home at Martin Stadium. I think they call it Lanny and Sharon Martin Stadium. How many people do you think were at that game?
I don't know, but now I want to
know. Now I want to know.
11,000 people were at that game. Dude, Pat Chun recently said we've sold over like 68,000 tickets, 70,000 tickets for this game. Dude, I'm sorry, but Jack Lausch, dude, he's never even been in an environment like he's going to be in at Mont Lake. And I know this isn't UW Oregon, UW Wazoo, UW USC, but this is the first Big Ten game. I mean, there's a lot of people who want to be there. That stadium's going to be loud. Dude, this will be a fun game, man. I think it'll be a lot louder than these Northwestern guys are used to.
The 4 p.m. start does no favors for Northwestern.
No.
Great. They're like, come on, UW lost last week to Wazoo. Give us that 10 a.m. or that 7 p.m. start. We don't care. Nope. Sorry, 4. It's going to be loud as shit.
Oh, Uncle Rico, cousin Johnny, they're gonna be lubed up, ready to go.
That's funny. All right, you guys ready to go take a look at the Northwestern defense?
Yeah, why not?
Yes, sir. Let's get
All
it.
right, so Northwestern's defense so far, they haven't been bad. They have, I think, 8 or 9 sacks, 4 interceptions. You know, they haven't given up a ton of points. I think they gave up 26 to Duke, and that was in the only
In
loss that they
overtime,
have
yeah,
of
in
the year.
overtime.
But I know like Miami of Ohio was, I think it was like 13 points, and then they gave up like 6 to Eastern Illinois. As we're looking at how we're going to expose this Northwestern defense, where do you think that all starts?
When I started looking at these guys, I was trying to read some of their, preseason stuff and kind of like what their defensive coordinator wants to do. I mean, these guys run very much like a traditional 4-3 defensive front. They don't disguise much. They got 6,
Mhm.
7 guys in the box, like almost every single play. I mean, their focus is stop the run, pack the box, and we'll kind of see what kind of comes of it from there.
Bend don't break.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Yep. They returned that all big linebacker in Xander Mueller, number 34. Dude's a freaking tackle machine. But the biggest thing, there's 2 things that I think we can expose, and I'm talking expose big time. I think their secondary lost a ton. They lost 3 of their starters to the transfer portal, and I think their other guy was a senior and just graduated. So I think we need to get big plays, man. Big plays through the air, and we have the weapons. We have the quarterback that can hit them on explosive plays. This unit's already given up 4 passing touchdowns on the year, and kind of like Mike has alluded to, I mean, they've played Miami of Ohio, Eastern Illinois, and Duke. It's not like these guys have like prolific offenses, and even Duke, Duke has Malik Murphy, the transfer from remember he's the I think California kid that went to Texas. So they can put it down the field a little bit, but I just think that they haven't seen the amount of wide receivers we have. And here's my other thing. Another way that I think you can really expose this traditional front, and we talk about it, they have a lot of guys in the box. I was like, how can you expose this? It's not always with your wide receivers how you expose a lot in the box. You actually can expose it with your tight ends and have big plays coming out of your, whether it's traditional lined up or even in the slot. Dude, they've given up big plays, 16, 22, and 32 yards to tight ends throughout the year. And so I think Latu, Decker DeGraff, they can both have big games. I think we'll probably see Q Moore 1 more week resting, which, man, I would have loved him on that 4th and 1. I'll tell you
Oh
what,
God.
in the
Yeah,
alley.
I thought the same thing too.
But man, that's kind of what I see, man. I think the passing game, because of just the amount of guys they want to put in the box, I think our passing game can have a big day against this Northwestern team.
I agree, especially with like we were saying about Latu and that, that play they run where he runs straight down the seam.
Yep.
I think I watched that play work against Northwestern a few times.
Mhm.
Izzo, what do you think?
I had the same things written down as Noah in terms of like their secondary is their weakness. They don't have the guys at defensive back that can kind of hang with a lot of Big Ten teams. The Xander kid, Mueller, I was watching them in coverage and on some speed rush plays to the outside. To me, they're slow in the middle.
Yeah,
I'll just say it.
no. He's a box linebacker, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's a great point. I was actually gonna say run some little like just some little like sweet plays to him, like just drop that. Like I want to see them get Jonah, get Cam, get those guys on the edge. Let's see if these boys can actually run with us. That's a great
Dude,
point.
Well, that was what was being exposed in other games is if you got your playmakers into space, they had a hard time tackling them. Also, they play off like 5-10 yards off as the corners, and
no break.
that's perfect. That's perfect for Will Rogers. Like that's the type of stuff where he eats.
There's no one on the defense that was like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, dude, this guy's gonna eat our lunch, but I said this and I'll say it again. If UW comes to play, we should have our way in the trenches. I really believe that, especially with our defensive linemen.
Yes,
and I think our offensive. I've said it every week, man. Can this be the week that we just run 5 guys out there and let's just see if we can create some sort of like cohesive unit, man. Like I want to
Yeah.
see that's what I'm really looking to see. Really quick, I want to say this. You know what's interesting? I've noticed. So Mueller has like, I mean, dude, he has like quite a few tackles every game. You know, I mean, he's in on the solos, or I mean, he's like that premier box guy. Do you remember last year, like Eddie would have like 10 tackles, 11 tackles, 12 tackles.
Mhm.
Zoe and Bruner seem like they're all over the freaking field all game.
Yeah.
But they're
Agreed.
but you look at their stats and it's like 6 tackles, 5 tackles, 7 tackles. You know what I'm saying? I wonder if it has to do with just like, are we rotating so much more than we were last year? And where I'm going with that is like, I wonder if that's why you see, um, teams like Northwestern. I wonder if they just don't have the depth to rotate. So guys are getting tired, you know what I mean? And so that's why you see, I mean, yeah, Mueller's an all Big Ten player, but it's like, dude, he's in like every snap.
He was all Big Ten.
Yeah.
I didn't know
For
that.
sure.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's incredible. I'll just give you
Yeah.
an idea here. Against Eastern Illinois, tackling grade of 31. And I think this is the most, if you're going to look at PFF grades, I think this is the most indicative of what I'm talking about with the hips. Pass rush 47. Game before that, 67. Game before that, Miami of Ohio, 56. He's just, there was a
Very
couple
middle of the
plays-
road.
Yeah, there was a couple plays where you could tell they were scheming to pick on him by throwing over the middle. They dropped into like cover 2, and there was a split in the middle of the field between the linebackers, and they were just hammering that in their game against Duke.
I got a question for you guys. Have you ever wanted to walk into Husky Stadium where there's 70,000 people and be the best looking person in the stadium? If you have, make sure you go to Simply Seattle, hit that QR code. Our good friends at Simply Seattle hooked this up and we look great. You see that QR code? Make sure you snap that, go check it out. Get all the Husky gear you want, plus Mariners, Sonics, Storm, all that stuff, everything at Simply Seattle.
While you're at it, be sure to check out the Dub Discord community with over 2,700 members. It's the largest organized chat room for all things Washington Husky athletics. You want insider access? Our VIP membership unlocks exclusive chat rooms and rumors you won't find anywhere else. Hit the QR code on the screen and join the conversation today. Go Dogs. Thank you for everything. What do you guys see as the keys for UW to take the W?
On offense, I think it's establishing that run and then being able to expose the secondary off the run, just like Jed Fish wants. Those dink and dunk passes, this defense is set up perfectly for that, or for it to be taken advantage of like that. And then on defense, it's all about staying disciplined against the run, because I think our secondary should be able to shut them down, no problem, to be honest with you.
Okay. No.
Yeah, I mean the key for me is you got to get Will Rogers going again. I think that the secondary can be exposed. I would agree that you want to set it up off the run, but at the end of the day, dude, I don't really care. I just think I think our wide receivers are better than their secondary, and I think that you just got to get it going, man. I think you just got to flat out say, "Can you score with us?" We used to say that last year, a lot. Our defense is tough, man. Our defense ain't going to give up a lot of points, even with their freaking back to the wall penalties and all this stuff. I mean, they still put their team in a position to be able to win the game, you know? So, the key to the game is getting Will Rogers like absolutely dialed and going. I want to see 300 plus, 2 or 3 touchdowns, finish the game big.
Okay. I will
All right,
go.
Izzo.
I'm excited about this because I forgot to bring it up. Is like how I would scheme AJ Henning out of the game. 6 Thaddeus on EJ. Like I almost feel like he's earned it. He's looked like cornerback 1 all year. And I think that he looks to me to be our stickiest in coverage and our fastest corner. So I'd like to see him stick on EJ to shut him down and to, if you're gonna, like we said with Belichick taking their best option out, he's their best option, do that. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I don't think you run less. I think you hammer the ball down their throat. You continue to do that. I would like to see more Adam Muhammad in this game, like almost like a 45% Jonah, a 35 or 40% Adam Muhammad, and the rest Cam Davis. And
Okay.
and go with that. And then beat them with speed because their cornerbacks, they can't keep up with the speed of Giles and Keith. And then use those aspects to set up deep shots to Jeremiah and Denzel, or use Denzel as your relief valve with that slant. And I think, honestly, that would be my prescription to do every single game. I don't think like that's what I'd like to see from this offense every single game.
Okay. All right.
I mean, if we do that every game, we're probably winning a lot of games.
I agree.
Yeah, if everything goes exactly how I just said it, you know. But yeah, I score predictions. What do you guys got?
Go ahead, Mike. I'll go second.
All right. Last week I was a little bit overzealous, cavalier, if you. I'm gonna say it's a UW win. It's 35-16, and I think you're gonna see a Jonah Coleman show.
Oh, I like that.
Love that.
Izzo, I was looking at this, man. I started out, how do I make this prediction? And I looked at it and I wrote down, I like UW to score 30 plus. I just don't see how the secondary or the defense should be able to slow down Will Rogers. What I know about Jed Fish is, I know people want to call him a salesman. They want to call him,
Mainly Arizona fans.
Yeah. I mean, he's kind of like that business guy, But one thing I know about Jed, man, he loves the game of football. And I promise you, he knows he knows that they probably made a mistake there. He knows that he got outcoached in some of that game. And so I guarantee you, dude, he lived in his office this past week to get that right.
Yeah.
I think this will be Will Rogers, like by far his best passing game. I think Will has a really, really big day. UW 34-19 over Northwestern. So
I like that. I really like that pick. I got UW. I'm going to change mine a little bit because I think as I talk through this, I think we score more than I had originally said. Because in the Discord, somebody asked me what I thought, and I said 31-21. But I think we get to 35, and so I'm going to go 35-17 Dogs.
Okay. I like that. I think that's like I said, I think we're going to score and we're going to look good doing it. I think, like you said, they're going to be running into a buzzsaw. So is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Or are we going to call this a pod and start looking forward to this Big Ten play?
No, we'll be back on a regular schedule next week with multiple coming out earlier in the week, multiple podcast episodes. So expect that. Yeah, and I would agree with your guys' points. Like, there's no way that we feel this pissed off and irritated and that didn't reflect into the locker room to full-blown diligence. It's not going to be a tear down environment. It's not going to be like guys fighting and turning on each other and turning their back. There's too much leadership there. This is too much NFL experience. They're going to turn this around, and I think there's a chance that we're even being like a little trepidatious coming off a loss last week, and we might blow the doors off them. That's possible. So
I wanted to say one thing, and this is just to the community, man. Dude, when we go out, we go to the games. The coolest thing I hear from people is like, it's just fun listening to you guys because you're fans. And I just wanted to say, we are just fans, man. And we are very thankful for you guys. And I sat next to a guy at the hatback or snapback place across from the Mariners Stadium. And he was just like, dude, are you that guy from the podcast? And it was just one of those things where it's like, yeah, man. And he was like, I just love you because you guys are just fun. And you guys are just fans, and we really are. So if you guys ever see us out there, man, please don't hesitate to say what's up. We'd love to meet, listeners. We'd love to just chop it up about the dogs, about whatever, man. So thank you guys so much for real. And just wanted to say that to everybody.
As always, guys, we love you. We'll see you next week. This is going to be releasing Saturday morning, so we will we'll have something out to you on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday reaction to this game. So, and then we'll go ahead and look forward to Rutgers. But yeah, Love you. For Mike, for Noah, for Izzo. Go Dogs, baby.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.